All right, guys, I'm here with a very special guest, Nate Frye. He's a former basketball player for UNO. He's a current professional basketball player. He's one of my really good friends, and I just wanted to welcome him onto the show. What's up, Nate? How you doing?
I'm doing all right. No, how you doing, man? Thanks for having me on, dude.
Man, couldn't get any better, with the tournament coming right around the corner. Kind of want to talk to you with that experience. Obviously your senior year, you played in it was the first four game.
Yeah, the first four, correct.
So, kind of tell me about that experience. Obviously, y'all won the conference tournament, got the automatic bid. So, what
Mhm.
was it like? The time frame between winning the conference tournament, kind of sitting around, finding out that you're going to be playing, like finding out on the selection part who you're going to be
Mhm.
playing and stuff like that. Like, what is the process for that?
Right. So, man, and it's funny you say that because every March since was it 2017. So it's been roughly almost 4 years. Like I get these nostalgic vibes that come when you're looking on ESPN. You're seeing all these guys hitting big shots, and they're doing the bracketology, so to speak, figuring out who's going to be the matchups for March Madness. But as if we want to take it back to that time, man. So we went to our conference was in Katy. We won the conference tournament over there, and as soon as we finished, man, there was literally, like you said, sitting around, but there was like we really slept, got on the bus the next day, and headed back to New Orleans to find out who playing. It's called Selection Sunday. That's where you find out what all the matchups are and everything, all the predictions, seeing if the predictions line up. And so we get back to we have this place at UNO called the Cove where everybody eats at. It's like a really cool vibe. They got palm trees in the back. It's really, really cool. And we would always go eat there. And I guess ESPN thought it'd be a great, like, hey, this is a great place for us to show Selection Sunday to the University of New Orleans and see who they play. So on our way back from Katy, we don't even get to go to our dorm rooms yet to change. Like we're sleeping on the bus on the way back, and then we wake up and we're like we're at the Cove for
So this was
Selection Sunday.
intense.
Like this, yes. Oh my gosh, it was like it went from 0 to 100 real quick. Like that was the most accurate way to describe it. So we hop off the bus and they're like, yo, hey, yo, quick, grab like the trophy, grab the net, somebody wearing around their necks, just so like we're presentable, because bro, seriously, like we're all tired. We just played a game the last night, played a game the past 2 nights. And so we walk into the Cove and people everywhere, people congratulate, which it was cool. It was
Right.
really cool. I'm not gonna lie, but
If you
we're
weren't wiping
sitting
the eye buggers
down.
out.
Yeah. No, seriously though, man, just trying to get ourselves presentable because none of us have ever been in this situation before. You see guys at Kentucky and stuff, so they're prepared for stuff like we're not. So coach is just like, just if uh, WDSU asks you any questions, just ask it as professional as possible. WWL, like all the major news stations in New Orleans, and so we get there and we find out we're playing West St. Mary, and we look at the next round of the bracket, and if we beat West St. Mary, we'll be playing the defending national champions Villanova. So
Yes.
we're like, bro, like what is going on? Like everything was happening so fast. So like you just tried to soak it all in. And so not even 24 hours later, because our plane, once we found out who we were playing, our plane left at 6 o'clock the next morning. And we were expecting, this was another crazy part. So we were expecting to go to what was once MSY, the old New Orleans airport. Bro, they had a private jet on a private strip that was just like we were just on the plane, and we weren't used to that either because we always flew commercial. And like they had a jet given to us by the NCAA that flew us out to Dayton, Ohio the next day to go play Mount St. Mary. So that was dope, man. And then we had so this is all happening within the span of less than 48 hours after the win. So we fly out, coach, like, go pack your bags right now. Like, right after we found out who we played, like, go pack your bags right now. We fly out to Dayton and have like our pre-practice. Pre-practice, we had our pre-game interview with ESPN, NCAA.com, and like major news stations all over Dayton, Ohio. And then it's just, man, you really felt like a celebrity for a major point in your life because like kids are coming up to you wanting autographs and everything. And it was just surreal. Now, the story ends up ending. We ended up losing by 1 point. Um, the play that we had drawn up at the end was a play to me that we ran earlier at was it Abilene? Yeah, Abilene Christian. And it worked early in the year, and I hit the shot. It sent us into overtime. We were going to run that exact same play. But for whatever reason, when the ball was thrown, it was overthrown to the big, which the big was supposed to pass to me. It never got to me. So there's multiple nights where I fall asleep and like, man, if I would have got the ball, would have made that shot. So that was pretty much the whole story in the shortest way I know possible,
Yeah.
without
Well, I mean,
without
about
over
that
talking.
game,
So
right? About that game, that's what I was going to talk about next. It was obviously very intense. Looking,
mhm,
I was kind of scrolling back through the box score. I was still in high school at the time, and obviously,
yeah.
we went to the same high school. You were kind of a big celebrity on campus when I was there.
Mhm.
But we were on a bus ride back from a baseball game, and we were all watching on our phones and stuff. And like,
Oh wow.
you were probably the best player on the court that day. Not going to lie. I
Mhm.
went back on the box score. I saw shot 7 of 10, 18 points. So obviously you played your heart out. You played very intense, but was there anything differently that you could have done, or maybe the game could have done? I mean, that the rest of the team could have done to, pull that one out.
Um, Thinking back on it, and like I said, I've thought about this numerous of times. I think we could have guarded the ball screen a lot better. They were a great 3-point shooting team. Like if you go back to the box score, I think they shot close to 40+% from three, which is great, which is
Right.
really, really good for a college team, especially in a tournament game. And they had this little dude on the team, Junior Robinson, who ended up going play for. He went to Atlanta Hawks G League, no Summer League, which is that's important. That's really, really important. And he was a little guy. Like you're taller, and we're both taller than Junior Robinson, and he gave us a lot of problems, a lot of fits coming off the ball screen. So I think maybe just strategizing how to play that ball screen a little bit better to keep him out of the paint, because the little man was a problem. He was a problem. So if I were to say anything, just guarding the ball screen a lot better.
Man, I wish you would have been like, man, if they gave me the ball more, man, let me get 20 shots up. You know me, I was feeling it that day, shooting 70%. Man, I was
Mhm.
dishing them out. I was getting it. But no, I know
Right.
that's not you. I couldn't pull that out
Yeah.
of you even if I tried.
Nah, nah, nah. Because the other thing is too, I grew a tight bond with the guys on the team. I know there was not one guy on that team that didn't give 110% that day. And so when they come out and see this interview, like I said, that's my brotherhood. Like you never hear me say anything bad about any one of my players, coaching staff, anything. Like I'll always go to bat for those guys at any point. So
Well, that makes it a lot easier to, I guess it's never easy to accept a loss. You never want to accept a loss, but whenever
right,
every single person gave their all, and like we just showed up, we got beat that day. There were
right,
lights out from three. There's just really nothing we could do. We did our best.
right.
Um,
Exactly, exactly.
but obviously before you could play college, you were playing high school and stuff. Kind of talk about your path to making it to college. And talk about your time in high school. Did you play AAU? Did you go to different camps, tournaments, stuff like that?
Mhm.
Like, what did you do to put yourself on the map?
Okay, yeah. So being that, and you could relate to this because you went to home Christian school. I came from a very small school in a very small city, in which the city that we live in has seven high schools. So trying to get even noticed in our community of Houma was a hard thing. But nevertheless, I just tried to stay in my lane, keep my focus, not look in the rearview mirror, not look in the lane and the left or to the right, just stay in my lane, looking through my windshield. That's all the metaphor I use. But I think when I stopped worrying about what everybody else thought about me, or who was coming to the games or who wasn't coming to the games, that's when I really started to get better. I always tell players, there are going to be people who aren't going to notice you until you give them something to notice. So
Right.
and you'll always have that opportunity, and you just got to prepare for that. So that opportunity for me was the Bayou Region, River Region All-Star game.
Okay. That
They
was your
have
senior
every
year?
year. That was my senior year, correct. And so I'm like, yo, this is my opportunity to show everybody in the city like who I am, what I'm about, like the small kid, not the smallest kid, but the big, because I was a big dude. I'm not gonna
Right.
lie, I was a big dude. And
Right.
that was the thing. I wanted to be the big kid from the small school, like that you just couldn't touch. So
Hmm.
we went to the All-Star game, and till this day, I wish I would have gotten in a 3-point competition, but I didn't want to hog the spotlight. But till this day, I still wish I would have gotten a 3-point contest
I
because
mean, you
I
already
know
won
I
the
could have
dunk
won it.
contest that day. You don't need to go win the three
Right.
point contest too. Like,
Right,
save some for
right.
the
And
rest of
then,
us.
yeah, and that was my mindset. But I wish, like, thinking to this day, I still wish I would have did it. And then I also won MVP of the game. So,
Hmm.
like, I was like, okay, well, I'm satisfied with that. But the dog that developed in me years later been like, you should have took all of it. you should have just took all of it. But I think that was the thing that put me on the map, because Homer Christian was always this afterthought, and especially in terms of basketball. Like we rarely have, sometimes have the best team in the parish and the tri-parish area. So for me to go out and represent Homer Christian in that manner, especially when in a dunk competition, like that's Homer Christian and dunk competition doesn't go together.
Right. We're the
Homer
all layup
Christian
team.
and right, yeah, exactly my point. You see where I'm coming from. Homer Christian and All-Star Game MVP doesn't go together. So I wanted to be that. I just wanted to break down that barrier between that, and then I think after that we had some really really good guys come after me. A lot of good players coming to school, and we're still in a rebuilding stage, trying to get some guys to believe in the dream that we have for Homer Christian basketball. But I can for sure say I did my part in trying to get that going.
I mean, after was it your junior or senior year? Y'all made it to like the quarterfinals.
That was my senior year.
Yeah, and then after that, I came in maybe a year after that, and pretty much every
Mm-hmm.
year that I was there until my senior year, it kind of fell off. But they were making deep runs into like the state finals every year. Like they're going to the semifinals every single year.
Right. Yeah.
Like it
Yeah. So
kickstarted the
we got
entire
to get
thing.
that. Yeah. That was the thing. And I always say, so to bring it back a little bit, when I first got to UNO, it always seems like I was in a rebuilding stage at some point at whatever program I was in. So when I got to UNO, we weren't eligible for any postseason anything. Like, and the coach was up front. Coach Mark Schlesinger was up front with me. He was like, "Yes, I want to sign you, but because we're moving from Division II to D1, we have a year of probation where we can't qualify for any post." And that was obviously because of Katrina. Like they were still rebuilding from that stage. And so I like being, and that's tough, but I do enjoy being a part of the rebuilding process of any program that I'm in, and that's what UNO afforded me to do, and Homer Christian afforded me to do the same thing.
I'll tell you what, it probably felt good to go from rebuilding your freshman year to by the time you're a senior, you're winning the conference for the first time and only time, I guess, so far, making it to the tournament, being a point away from going play Villanova in the NCAA tournament. I mean,
Oh
the
yeah,
program
man,
took
yeah.
steps.
Oh yeah, it took huge strides, and if you go back and watch the interview at the end of the game, I said something to the degree of, we got the engine on the car going. Now it's up for the guys after us to start driving the car and going in the right direction. And that's always my thing. I always want to leave a legacy. I always want to leave something for other people to build off of. I feel like if I hadn't done that, I wouldn't have completed my mission or done my job the way I was supposed to.
Right. What other schools offered you to go play basketball?
So man, that's a whole nother story within itself. So my my senior year, the second round of playoffs, University of Tennessee in Chattanooga, their coach had flew down to come watch me play, and I had a terrific game, probably my best game I ever had in high school. I had 40, finished with 43 points, 44 or 43 points.
Sure.
And like they offered me right on the spot. Like they was like,
Right.
"Yes, we want you to come play." So I stay in communication with this school, and they were like, "Okay, well, I guess the final thing, you just got to come visit the school and make sure it's something that you want to be a part of, get to see the facilities, what type of what my major was going to look like, what classes I'd be taking." And so I think you probably did this too at Homer Christian. Once you get to your senior year, you probably finish the majority of your classes, so you get to leave at
Yeah.
pretty much like 11, 12 o'clock.
Right.
So I'm pretty sure it was a Friday, and I left to go pack my bags, and then I came back to get my dad so we can go to the airport. And so I walked in him and Chuck Battaglia's office with my bags. I'm like, "Yo, let's go do this. It's time for me to go sign, plan to go." And you know how you can walk into a room and like just know something's wrong?
Right. You're like, all right, who died?
Yeah, yeah. Who died? Like who? Something happened. So I walk
Yeah.
into the room, and Chuck puts his head down, and my dad was like, "Nate, sit down." I'm like, "Oh God."
And your dad was
So
the
he
basketball coach.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So he proceeds to tell me that the head coach that was recruiting me and his staff and the athletic director all got fired on the same day. Now you would think that
Wow.
because the school is interested in me that it wouldn't really matter, but it's a big question mark in the air, because if they bring in another coach that has his own philosophy, his own coaching staff, his own players that he wants to bring in that he was already looking at, that kind of boots me out.
Exactly. And I mean, at
Yeah.
the end of the day, no matter how talented you are, you're not his guy. That's like
Exactly.
whenever I mean even with the Pelicans right now, they have a completely different roster than they did 2 years ago when David
Yeah.
Griffin came in. Now, I mean,
Hmm.
they needed a different roster, but like it's
Yeah,
just
they
like if
did.
you're not their guy, if a guy drafts you, he has like more, he has more commitment to you. If a guy signs you coming out of high school, he has more commitment to you. He has an attachment to you. If a new guy comes
Hmm.
in, he might not see that with you. So
Right.
is that what
Yeah. No, and
ultimately drove you to UNO?
that's exactly it. Well, UNO was not on my radar at the time. It was Chattanooga, and then junior college out of Mississippi that I was not interested in whatsoever. I wasn't interested in going to Mississippi, to be honest with you, man. But I still talked to them, gave them respect they deserve. But I was on my way to another visit in Kansas, and the school was called Coffeyville Junior College. Which, if you were gonna go to a junior college, this would be the one to go to, just
Mhm.
because they're in the Jayhawk Conference, and a lot of their guys go to Kansas and Kansas State right after.
So it's like a
You
feeder
know, right?
school.
It's like a feeder school, exactly.
Right.
But when I got there, man, Kansas was just so like, where is everything? Like, all I saw was farms and animals,
Just like three
cows.
cows.
Yeah, I was like, man, like, is this the like, God, what's up, man? Like, is this the vision you have for me? So I was like, nevertheless, like, if this is what I have to do, I'm gonna do it. So the visit was smooth. I showed them what I could do. They put me through some drill work and everything. Had me play 5-on-5 with the guys, and they liked me. And they also offered me on the spot. The coach brought me in his office, like, I want you to sign. You don't have to sign right now, but just think about it. We'd really love to have you. And I was like, yep, I'll definitely think about it. So I put the paper in my bag and I just shot out, headed back to Homa. And I think I was in Houston when I got a call from Christopher Arkenberg, the assistant coach at University of New Orleans. She was like, hey, we're interested in you. We want you to come on a visit. Now, at this point in recruiting, it's like late.
Right.
It's super late. It's like late summer. So I was already behind the eight ball. So I was like, well, this is D1 like I wanted. Um,
Wait, hold up. To
we
clarify, you're talking summer, like after you graduate, like semester starts in like 2 weeks type stuff.
Yes, yes,
Wow.
yes. It's late. It's super late. Um, and I was like, okay, well, I tell my dad about it, and he was like, well, yeah, let's just go check it out. But my dad was always a little apprehensive about me going to New Orleans just because that's where he grew up. He grew up in the Ninth Ward in New Orleans, which is, I don't have to elaborate on what type of
Yeah.
environment that is out there. So, but UNO was in a really, really tucked away place in New Orleans. It's by the lake. If anybody's ever been there, it's beautiful. They've done a lot of renovations to the lakeshore area. They have nice houses back there. It's like its own little hub tucked away from New Orleans on the Elysian Fields. Um, Coach Schlesinger, who's the head coach there right now, man of God, but same belief systems as me. Can be a bit of a tough man to play for sometimes, but he brings the best out of you. And that's what I needed. I was kind of a softie coming out of high school, which I needed to change a lot. I really didn't have anybody to really push me day in and day out in practice, but he really did that. And I guess because of the relationship with me and my dad, my mom tried like checking that, make sure everything that's done at the gym is done at the gym. But when we get home, like that's it. But
Right.
Sles is a guy that's on you like day after day after day after day. Sending his goons to come check on you in the dorm room, his assistant coaches, making sure like you're doing your homework, you ain't got no girls in the dorm room, like you're eating correctly, like all that. So let's make sure you're on your stuff.
Oh yeah, catch you
So
with the
I and
coke.
yeah, not seriously, man. And I thank him to this day. Like he made me a better ball player and a better man. So
Definitely.
to sum up your question, man, being at Homer Christian and everything, really, it was I wouldn't have had it any other way because if I would have went to like a Terrebonne Vanderbilt, I don't think I would have kept my head on. If I'm being honest as a man, I don't think my head would have been on as straight as it was coming out of Homer Christian. So I enjoyed the ride and I have no regrets coming from where I come from.
Well, didn't you have a couple places? Didn't you have a couple of opportunities to go play football too in college?
I did. So funny story. I was being recruited by Florida State out of high school. I
And it
think
wasn't
I
this
was
like
like
right
one.
after they won the national championship.
Yes. No. This was so the year I would have gone play, Jameis Winston would have been the quarterback. Well, was the quarterback.
So that
And
year.
that year they won the national championship. And my teammates were giving me so much crap about it. They were like, bro, why are you even here right now? Like, you can't even play for conference anything. you could have had a ring on your finger. You clearly look like a football player. Like football is your sport. I think coming out of high school, I was like one of the top 5 running backs in the state. They had 2 other guys on that list that I really didn't know about. You had Elijah McGuire, another Homer product,
Right.
Leonard Fournette, and then you had Nate Frye. So like seeing me on that list was like, man, did I make a mistake? But I was
Dude, that is
behind the
so
8 ball.
funny to hear. Like
Yeah,
knowing you, like knowing it's like, oh, Leonard Fournette, right? Like Super
right.
Bowl, like just won a Super Bowl, and then Nate Fry.
Right. Now it was weird to see. But I mean, that was a God-given ability that God gave me. I just didn't feel like that was the route I wanted to go in because I was behind the 8 ball. Homer Christian didn't get a football team until my 10th grade year. So the last time I had played before that was when I was 12 in Thibodeau Bantam Football League. So I just I know like when I get on the basketball court, I can tell right off that if a guy hasn't been playing basketball for a long time. And football is not that sport you want to get used up in.
So is that why you
That's not
ultimately
it.
chose basketball over football?
Yeah, and I love the sport a whole lot more.
Yeah.
It's safer, and I put more work in towards it. So
Well, do you think you could have made it to the NFL if you would have played football?
most definitely, like
You
I say
think?
that in the most I say that in the most humble way possible. I really do.
It's a
I
fair
was
statement. If you were a top 3 running back in the state of Louisiana, which being honest here, it's very good recruits, and then you
right,
have an offer from Florida State, a major D1 player, like it's not a wild take at all.
right, yeah, no, and it Chuck, the football coach, Homer Christian, tells me to this day, he's like, man, you could be playing on Sundays right now if you would have just chose football. I'm like, bro, leave me alone. Like, go, don't you have some paperwork to go file or something, bro? But yeah, I would most definitely be playing on Sundays if I would have chose football. So.
Yeah. Were you like only interested in playing running back? Because your pops always talks about you playing as a safety. He always thought you were better as a safety.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so football's weird because you get recruited only as a player, not a position. So
Right.
wherever you fit in that program, where you go, that's where they're going to put you. Elijah McGuire was a quarterback, probably one of the best quarterbacks in the state, and
Yeah.
he went be a running back. How often do you see that? Like a quarterback go be a running back? That's weird. But I was a really good running back, but they probably would have made me a safety. That was my primary position, just because I could I make good breaks on the ball, which is most in
Your
part
instincts.
because yeah, instincts, and it's because of basketball too.
Oh
Basketball
yeah.
players translate really, really well in football. I mean, you go whole list of guys that played basketball that went to the NFL that did really, really well. So
So what other schools offered you for football?
UL was looking at me, so I would have actually been playing with Elijah. We would have been on the same team.
Right.
Another school out of Mississippi, Mississippi College, and a number of other schools that are not known to me at this point were looking at me, but Chad Kale, who used to coach at Nicholls State, and Nicholls State was looking at me as well. Used to coach at Nicholls State, was my coach at the time as well. And he was like, I have a number of schools that are looking at you, but they just want to know what you want to play. Like they're not going to waste their time if you're not even serious about playing football. And it
You think
was
if
one of
basketball
those,
wasn't a thing, you would have had more football offers? Like people were more scared that you would just like not even waste the time?
oh well, yeah, yeah. If I wasn't playing basketball at all, it would have been exactly that.
Did you have any
That's what it was.
chances to play both? Was anybody like, look, we'll let you play football and basketball?
I think if I would have inquired about it, kind of negotiated, like, hey, I'll come if you let me play both sports. But I'm not a person who's good at doing 2 things at one time. I'm not that person. So but actually both of them would have gotten 50%, and I'm not that type.
Right. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that kind of just moves it on. How did you notice getting playing football then? Like, did you ever have a dream of playing college football, or did people kind of approach you and you're like, not really my thing?
I had a dream about playing college football when I was younger because it honestly was my main sport. Um, just because it's so people are gonna disagree with me when they say this, but I'm just gonna say it anyway. Football is it's a very instinctual and easy sport to play. Meaning, when you look at it in
Yeah,
comparison
when
to
you're a freak
basketball,
athlete, Nate. Yeah, I bet. I
when,
bet it is real
when you
easy to play.
when you look at it in comparison to basketball, the amount of skill sets that you have to possess to be good at basketball is so tough. Like
I
footwork,
can agree
ball
with
handling,
that.
shooting, speed, being able to read defenses. Football, I'm not gonna say you can be a dummy, but you can be strong, fast,
You can get away
and
with
be able to
more.
jump. You can get away with a whole lot
Right.
more. So, like as a kid, I was like, okay, yeah, football might be my thing, even though I played both. It's just I was stronger than most kids. I was faster and I jumped higher. So that's why I excelled. I didn't really know the game. The coach showed me, he was just like, if the ball's in the air, go get it.
Right.
If the running back gets behind the linebackers, go knock his head off. Like I was like,
Right.
okay, easy, let's do that.
Yeah.
But with
And then
basketball, it's like
they could have taught you
with
those
that,
things in college and like made you
right, yeah,
better at it, but
yeah. But I didn't even know coverages. Noah, like when I got to play Homer Christian again, I didn't know what a cover 2 or cover 3 was. Like I
oh
didn't
no.
know. No,
Bro,
I didn't know
play
what it meant.
Madden.
Well, I'd see, and I didn't play games. That was my. I didn't play video games. Freddie took those away. So
Oh
I just
man.
felt like I was so far behind the 8 ball, especially talking to Coach Chad, because I played quarterback one year, and he was like, "Yes, if they're in a nickel or they're in a 3-4 defense, or even," and I'm like,
Hmm?
"Like I
Coins?
don't know."
What?
Yeah, I was like, "What? I don't know what any of that is. All I knew was play safety, and if the ball got back there, just hit the person or intercept the ball." So it was. I think it was more insecurities within myself. I probably could have learned it, like you said, but being such an analytical thinker in terms of basketball, I see it that way in football. I'm like, man, I'm gonna get used up and I'm gonna get hurt. Like I'm seriously gonna get hurt.
Right.
Now I'm not a small guy by any stretch, but they're definitely bigger guys than me
Yeah.
in D1 football. So
That's definitely fair. Like I mean, homeboy from Baylor a few years ago, that all the Sean Oakman.
Sean Oakman,
Remember that
yep,
dude? Oh
dude
man.
had a picture that went viral. He was
Right.
just
Dude was just
standing there.
chilling. He
Yeah,
wasn't flexing or anything. Like didn't like do anything. He was just standing there, looking
yeah.
huge.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but kind of back to basketball for a minute. What would you say your best game in college was?
Mm, that's a good one. Uh, I would say my best game was probably gosh, shoot, played in Dayton, Ohio. But my best game, I had
Oh,
20.
we
Oh
got you
yeah, I had
back.
27. Huh?
It disconnected. I'm sorry. I couldn't hear you. What did you say? What was your best game in college?
Oh, my best game was against Texas A&M Corpus Christi. I think I scored like 27 points, and I had the game-winning layup to win the game. And I drove like I think we were tied, and I think they had 4 seconds left. So I had 4 seconds to get from like inline to inline through a press and score a layup. And I
That's
remember
nasty.
that game was just I was making just some ridiculous shots. Like I made a buzzer beater going into halftime over a guy that was 6'7" in the corner. I was driving to the lane one time and I did something and I reversed the other side. And then obviously the layup at the end to send the game to win the game was kind of the icing on top of the cake. So
So it was just kind of one of those games like you could do no wrong.
literally did nothing wrong. There was I was making shots over 3 and 4 guys. Like there was nothing they can do with me that night. So
Man,
that was probably it.
that's got to be okay. Like this is so off topic. There's absolutely no
Mm-hmm.
questions in my notes about this. What is like the coolest feeling on a basketball court or like anything? Because I always feel like if you can just like hammer down a dunk on somebody, that's got to be like the coolest feeling in sports.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's a pretty cool feeling. Probably for bigs and stuff like that. Like that's probably what gets them going is putting it on someone's head. But I think for me as a guard, just coming down multiple times is getting in that zone that people talk about. Like they say he's in the zone. That's a great place to be in, man. That is oh my goodness, because it happens so quick. Like you come down, hit a shot, and for me, if I hit that next shot, I'm like, okay, there's literally nothing y'all can do to stop me. Then it can go
Right.
on possession after possession after possession after possession, and that's what you saw in the tournament game. Like I scored 1 or 2 buckets, and it snowballed after that,
Just
and
downhill from
that's
there.
what. Yeah, that's one of the best feelings to have. I think if you talk to any basketball player, they'll say getting in that zone is like it's the closest thing to being on drugs or something or getting a high or just the legal high. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's a great feeling. You can ask any player; they'll tell you the same thing.
Man, you know me, when I'm making like 1 out of 20, that one I hit, nasty.
Right, right. You on after that, huh?
Uh-huh. I'm on fire. I'm like pointing to my arm, like I got ice in my veins. That's me right
Right.
there. All right, so
Yes, indeed.
what was the best like atmosphere or like environment you ever played in?
Yo, so We played at Michigan State my freshman year.
Wow.
17,000 people. That's when they were ranked like fifth in the country. They had Gary Harris, Adrian Payne, all guys that were about to go to the NBA. Gary Harris is actually still in the NBA.
Yeah.
I don't know where Adrian Payne is right now, but that my freshman year, I was getting limited minutes, but I got in the game and I scored a couple buckets, and that was cool. I've never played in front of that many people in my life, and I was nervous. Obviously, kid from Homer Christian,
Right.
little tucked away Homer Christian is now on one of the biggest stages in college basketball. I was like, man, I gotta soak this in. But I think one of the down parts of that day was like one of my teammates got dunked on and got put on Sports Center that night.
Oh
And it was
no.
and it was number one. Like
Oh
we're all beating. We were
no.
like, we hope it's not number one. So it goes 10, 9, 8, 7. We're like, it's at least got to be top 5. It gets to 5 and it's still not on there yet. We're like, oh God. It gets to 3, still not, and then 2, and everyone's like, okay, here it comes.
Oh,
University of New Orleans versus Michigan State. Gary Harris dunks on so and so. I'm not about to say his name.
right. You
And
can't
we're
put them on
just
blast.
no, I'm not putting him on blast. Like I said, that's brotherhood, so I'm not gonna do that. But it was, oh God.
We'll
It
dig up
was,
the tapes. We'll dig them up.
yeah. I'm about to say you can go and look it up if you want to. It was
Yeah.
bad.
I
It was
mean,
pretty, and it was an and one too. It wasn't just like,
oh no.
yeah. It was
how,
tough.
how did that game go? Was it competitive?
We lost. We lost by a lot.
Oh man, Izzo, the
Mm-hmm.
living legend.
Oh, he's a legend for sure.
Yeah.
I think one of the best compliments I got was from Indiana. Said Coach Tom Crean,
Mhm.
which is another legendary coach. He literally came up to me. I think he was like, "Bro, you're a great." We didn't say bro, but he was like, "You're a
Right.
great point guard. Keep working.
Son.
Keep doing well." Yes, son, you're a great point guard. Keep playing. I like your game. I was like, "Whoa!" That was kind of like my validation.
Yeah. Like
That
I'm
was my
doing something right.
validation. Yeah, I'm doing something right. I'm doing okay. So.
What was the most intense game you ever played in then? Obviously, it probably wasn't the blowout.
Nah, it wasn't that one. Oh man, I think the most intense game I played in was the championship game of the conference tournament.
Okay.
Yeah,
That
in Katy.
was that an overtime game?
That was an overtime game. And you know what's crazy? On the way, what was it? On the way up there, I don't know if you remember that same year, I think it was Atlanta. I think it was Atlanta and are you still
You
there?
good?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I think it was Atlanta Falcons was in the Atlanta Falcons was in the playoffs, I think, and coach told all of us something degree of about overtime or something like that. He was like, games that go into overtimes are always decided by the teams that's the toughest. The team that's the
Right.
toughest is always going to win. Like bottom
Whoever wants
line,
it
hands
more.
down. Right. Or who wants it more. So I remember when it went into overtime, we all looked at each other like coach literally just said this like not even 20 hours ago. And we just laid on the line. Every loose ball, there was like 3 or 4 UNO players on the ground diving for it. Every rebound was ours. Like it was incredible. And I do attribute it. I honestly attribute it to that pep talk that he gave us because you could see it. Like we were like, as soon as it went into overtime, we were like, yo, coach was just talking about this. Let's go get it done. Let's go get this win.
Right. Kind of moving on. Talk about your draft experience a little bit. Were you invited to the combine?
No, man, I think I was kind of upset about that, just because in the middle of the game, like while I'm in that zone that I was talking about, I was like, there's no way not one coach is watching. Somebody's
Right.
watching this game. It's the first 4 game. We played defending championship, the defending champions next. Like some coach or scout is watching this game. And I ended up not getting an invitation to go to the combine or the draft. I came close to coming to going to the Portsmouth. Portsmouth is like it's almost like the combine, but it's just for those players that are not in like mid-major, I mean, not in major programs like the Kentuckys or the
Right.
North Carolinas, and they still have a lot of coaches that go to those that go to that combine or whatever. And I saw a whole bunch of people on Twitter like talking about like, hey, what do you guys think about Nate Frye going to the Portsmouth Classic or Portsmouth Combine? I was hoping that was getting some traffic or whatever, and I would get a note from them or something or in the mail, but that never came.
Get a hashtag going.
And so then, yeah, something send Nate to Portsmouth or something like that, But it never happened, and I was upset. But like my thing, how I live my life and how I live my my experiences as a player. If I put everything out on the court and it didn't happen, I'm okay with that. I'm only not okay if I didn't give full effort and I did like that's when you live with regrets.
Right.
Because you always have that woulda, coulda, shoulda in the back of your mind. But because I laid everything out there, I did what I was supposed to do, and it didn't happen. I'm fine with it.
Did you get a chance to work out for any teams?
I didn't get a chance to work out for any teams. A couple of my teammates did. So Eric Thomas, who was our league MVP for UNO, who was averaging like 20 points a game or something like that. Dude was solid. He was undersized, big, kind of like a Charles Barkley type.
Right.
He ended up going to work out for Phoenix, and I want to say the Portland Trail Blazers. And he didn't get picked up, but Eric is still playing along with a lot of other of my teammates. Eric is still playing. I think he's either in Argentina or something, and he played on Argentina national team because that's kind of his heritage there. Like he's from there. He has family from
Right.
there. His sister was on the Argentina national team, so and his dad played out there too. So he was kind of next in line to go head out there. So shout out to Big E. It's my brother Eric Thomas.
Shout out to Argentina. Shout out Messi.
Right. Yeah. Right. Serious.
What so I'm assuming then that you weren't expecting to get drafted. Like did you know if you were going to have any offers from teams afterwards, or like were you trying to find a G League team, or like what was your mindset after the draft?
Yeah. So after the draft was over, I'm like, okay. So didn't get any calls. And so I'm like, okay, what's the next step? Next step is obviously G League. So G League has they have these tryouts that they do year round for their team. I went to Miami, went to Utah, and I went to Arizona. Yeah. And then all three of those G League tryouts, I didn't end up making any of the teams, but the one I did come closest to, which was my dream team, was Miami Heat.
Mhm.
I saw Coach Eric Spoelstra was at the tryout, and I was doing well. I made it to the last round of tryouts and everything like that, but they didn't end up picking me. So I guess proceeding from that, my next plan of action was like, hey, let's try the overseas thing. So
Right.
like for each no, I'll always try to have like a backup plan. Like I said, I'm an analytical thinker. I don't freak out when things don't go my way. I just try to figure out the next plan afterwards. And so the overseas thing checked out. I ended up going to a camp in Vegas during the Vegas Summer League. So there's NBA coaches in and out of our games and stuff all week.
Right.
And I mean, obviously I didn't have any coaches, come talk to me from the NBA, but I ended up going playing Canada, which was a cool experience. Canada was very, very different. Anybody that has gone to Canada and come back to America, you realize how different it is from
Yeah.
from the US.
Where else did you play overseas? Didn't you play at a couple different places?
So I played in the year after that, I went play in South America, Montevideo, Uruguay, and which is the capital of Uruguay.
Okay.
So I had to learn the language. Everybody out there spoke Spanish. A lot of people out there spoke, some English, which kind of made me feel bad because like, why are they able to learn both languages and we can't?
Yeah.
I felt some type of way about that. I kind of felt bad. So I started learning the language as much as possible. I started with the on court stuff,
Like
and then I
Aki.
went to aquí. Uh, and then I learned restaurant stuff. So all my foods, rice, arroz, lechuga, agua con gas. Agua con gas is like sparkling water.
Mhm.
Asado is like their barbecue out there. So they have asados. So that was cool, man. It was a culture shock for me because in South America is either you have money or you don't.
Right.
It's either you have money or you don't. And I met a lot of cool people, down there people who I still keep in touch with till this day. If you can travel as much as an athlete as you can, I know the goal is always to go to the NBA, but overseas life, you get a different perspective on life, and you become a whole lot more grateful for what you have when you come back home.
Yeah, I can definitely see
Hmm.
that. Are you
Yeah,
still are you still chasing the dream? Like what type of steps are you taking if so?
yeah. So I have an agent. His name is Mile. I talk to Mile often. Probably like every 2 weeks just to touch base to see if any teams, kind of bit the hook, so to speak. and just nothing yet, just because Corona is a real thing right now. And if they're coming to the States to get any players, it's going to be bigs. I don't think they're allowing as many players allowing as many Americans per team as they did. In Uruguay, you were allowed to have 4 on the roster, but 3 could only be active. And I think they've started diminishing those numbers just because of COVID. Now it may open back up just because the vaccines are here now and stuff.
Yeah.
But so I'm just gonna keep checking in with him. I think the hardest part, man, especially because I'm a coach now at Homer Christian School, is staying in shape. I'm able to work out, but man, it's so stinking hard because at the end of the day, like I work a full day, teach, coach. I do my personal training, my group training, private training, and then now it's time to focus on me. But by that time, I'm drained, man. Like
Yeah.
it's tough. I'm not gonna lie, but it'll all be worth it if I can sign another contract again.
Definitely. I mean, are you still looking to play overseas? Like if it was up to you, would you be okay playing an entire career worth of stuff overseas?
Oh, most definitely.
You
Yeah,
just want to play basketball, like that's it.
yeah, just playing basketball is just it's a joy of mine, and I don't think I look at the sport of basketball the same way a lot of other people do. I see basketball as more of a relationship than I do a sport. People will come up and ask me questions about, hey, Coach Nate, what do you think about like if I scored this basket and then I went up to the dude or made the dude fall and I stepped over him or something like that. And I was like, I don't think that's cool because you're disrespecting the sport.
Yeah.
Like I see it more as an entity that you have to respect and nurture more than just a sport. Another example is I always compare basketball to being in a relationship. Like basketball is one of those things where like it can go right for so long or for a period of time, and in a split second it just goes bad. But that you don't just throw the relationship away, or you don't get mad at the sport. You don't get frustrated. You just get back in the gym, work on it, figure out what's going on, and you fix it.
Right. You got to
Same thing
take
in
a
a
step
relationship.
back, hold yourself accountable.
Right. Yeah. Just
Yeah.
fix it's the same thing as a relationship. And that's why I try to get my boys at Home Christian to understand like basketball and sports in general have so many applications to life that, you know, if you can master not becoming frustrated, staying level headed at all times, you'll be a great man and a great employee as well.
Definitely.
Yeah. Hmm.
You kind of mentioned it. If you want to talk a little bit about your personal training stuff with your business with Alpha Omega,
Hmm.
I want to plug that a little bit.
Oh, most definitely. So a new project, well, I wouldn't call it new. I started Alpha Omega in college just to kind of drum up some bread, to keep some money in my pocket. And I think my first client was a girl. Her name was Becca Kleindorf, and her goal was to go be a sensation. So like you can imagine this random girl coming up to me is like, "Hey, I want to be a sensation. I'm going to try out. I just need to get in shape. Like I have all. You don't have to teach me any dance stuff. I just need the physical part." I was like,
Oh,
"Okay,
you didn't
cool,
want to
because I don't
show her
know
like
any
how to pop and
physical."
lock?
Nah, that wasn't really my thing. That wasn't my thing. But I can dance. Let's not get that twisted. I can dance, but
All
what
right,
I
we
provide
gonna
is
see.
what I don't is what I provide is I don't think is what they were looking for. So I couldn't help her in that department.
Okay.
But so we worked out for like a semester and a half, and dude, she ended up making the team.
Wow.
She ended up making
Maybe
the
you should go
team.
try out.
Yeah, no, I don't think I should. No, I don't I don't think I should. But I was so proud of her. I still stay in touch with her to this day. She may even still be on the team. I still see her posting stuff with the sensations and stuff all the time. And so over the years, I drummed up a lot more clientele. I think I have close to like 40 or 50 kids that I'm responsible for, group
Wow.
and private clients. One of which one of my bigger clients that were just in a playoff game at where were they at in North Louisiana somewhere? DeAndre Thomas, 6'8". He's probably one of the best players in the city right now. He comes to me and train. Jordan Matthews, he's at Vanderbilt. He's a really, really good player. And obviously my guys that I coach at Homer Christian. So I'm responsible for a lot of these kids' personal development in terms of basketball. So I take that very seriously. And they listen to me. That's the thing I love. They listen to everything I have to say, and they go out and do it. And it's a joy to be around kids. I didn't think I actually liked kids until I started working at Homer Christian.
There you go.
I thought I'm not gonna say I hated kids. It's just I didn't think they took a liking to me.
Mm-hmm.
But just working at Homer Christian, I realized that wasn't the case. Like people take to me, I take to them, and so it makes for a good business when you're a people person, you're good with kids,
Yeah, I
especially in the
mean,
industry that I'm doing. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, talking about where you were talking about your college coach earlier, like the type of relationships you build. Like, I mean, you probably
Hmm.
didn't even think about that going in. Like, you're just like, man, like
Right.
this is kind of a means to an end. I need a job, and then it
Yeah.
turns into like, wow, like I really love this. Like, I love the guys I'm working with every day, and like, obviously,
Hmm.
they're gonna love you.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the thing. Just building that relationship, and they gotta trust you, man. They gotta know that you have their best interest at heart, and you have to not only just say it, but you gotta show them. Actions speak way more louder than words. But we're supposed to be getting a facility soon. We're raising the money for it. My thing is debt free, debt free, debt free. I don't want
Definitely.
to go to the bank to borrow any money for anything. I have a good amount of money saved up that I just want to keep, kind of for my kids' college fund and stuff I want to do for my family. That stuff is not going to be touched by Alpha Omega. All the money for the business is going to be raised in one form or another. But for right now, we're just gonna hold off on the facility, and we're just gonna, like I said, save the money up and do all the training at home with Christian. So it's enjoyable, man. Like I said, and it also helps. One of my biggest things is fighting childhood obesity. Me and my friend Greg White Pittman, who was a former player at Home Christian, he's kind of come into this project with me, and it was actually his idea to incorporate fighting childhood obesity just because it's a major thing right now, even more so because of Corona.
Yeah,
Kids are not
definitely,
going outside to do anything right now. And
definitely.
so we kind of want to bring that back. We hear our parents talk about, man, we used to go outside. Our parents used to have to drag us back in the house.
Mm-hmm.
Now we have to drag you outside. So we're trying to get kids more active, and just providing a product for them to enjoy coming in the gym, or just getting out, getting away from that game, that iPad, that cell phone, and having fun, but also getting in shape as well.
Is it okay? So is it more of a basketball training type, or is
Mhm.
it strength and conditioning, or it's kind of you tailor it to the specific person of what they want?
It's more so sports related. I haven't gotten into the strength training and conditioning aspect of it. If I do get into anything like that, it's more so within the basketball drills. Like, there's a way to get strength conditioning and training in within basketball drills. So I try to do that just so I don't have to put, you know, 9 and 10, 11 and 12-year-olds in the weight room and stuff like that. That's kind of
You
a
don't want
lot
them
of stuff
busting
can
out
go
hammer
wrong.
curls.
Yeah, no, you don't want to do that right now, especially because liability is a real thing.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
you don't, and I don't really know the theory behind stunted growth. All I know is that I started working out when I was like 7 or 8 years old, and I'm not 6'5" like my father. So that's why I'm not.
You're not
That's
gonna
why I'm
play with
not
that,
right. I'm not playing. I'm not playing with that.
man. All right. So, is a lot of your people younger kids, or do you
Mhm.
work with adults too? Obviously, you say you work with some high schoolers, helping them out with their game, but like, do you have any adults clients?
So if I were to give it percentages, I would say like 70%, 70% of my clientele is kids from
Mm-hmm.
the ages of like 9 to 13 or 14. Uh, I would say probably the other 20% is high schoolers, kids that are actually on a team. But because think about it, like when you're younger, you're not really trying out for any team. Every team
Right.
that you go for, you get on. So it's kind of a filtering process as soon as you get older. And then I'd say the last 10% are college people and professionals.
Gotcha. So you're not working like if I showed up was like Nate, put 30 pounds on me in the next 6 months, like that's not really
Mhm.
like what you do necessarily.
That's not a part of the business of Alpha Omega, but I do with my degree, like I do fitness training as well.
Okay. So what is your degree?
Mhm.
What is your
I
background?
got a degree. I have a degree in human performance and health promotion from the University of New Orleans, the HPHP program, which is kind of like kinesiology, and physical therapy, kind of drummed up into one.
Right. Yeah. So you're definitely more than qualified.
Oh yeah, no, it's just I love the way the body works. Body's like a puzzle. Things are connected that you really don't really realize that's connected. If something hurts in your hip, it's probably because of something that's going on in your neck or some type of posture. So you gotta figure out the pathways and how things are connected. And that's fun to me. That's a game within itself.
Yeah, definitely. So last question here that I've been kind of asking all of my guests to end it. If you can go back in time and witness one moment in
Ooh.
sports history, whether it's your own moment, whether it's anyone else's, if you want to relive a moment, it's up to you. It's open ended. If you can go back
Mhm.
and witness one moment in sports history, what would it be and why?
Oh man. That I would. Ooh, I
It's
would have
loaded.
gone. That is a loaded question. Oh, what in the world? Uh, you see, okay, so I would have loved. Now, this is not my final answer, but I would have loved to go see Iron Mike fight in a fight.
Definitely.
And the reason why it's not number one because he just fought not that long ago. So man, that was a great time for me because I was like, dude, we're witnessing something that a lot of people would not be able to otherwise, like if he hadn't gone back in the ring.
Yeah.
But since I'm a basketball guy, I love the game of basketball, it would have definitely been going to see Michael Jordan win any one of his 6 championships.
Yeah, definitely.
Because when we were growing up, I think how old are you? What year were you born?
2000.
2000. Okay, so Mike was playing with the Wizards around that time, and he wasn't the same Mike.
Right.
Like I remember seeing a highlight. Mike tried to go dunk and he got rim stuff. Like Air Jordan, like your Air, like he got rim stuff. So I'm like, okay, is this the Michael Jordan everybody's talking about?
Mm-hmm.
But I would have
Little
liked to
six,
see Mike.
7-year-old Nate Frye.
Yeah, I would have liked to see Mike in his prime because I think he's one of those one in a lifetime players that you don't get to see too often. So
Definitely. That's the first basketball
yeah.
we've gotten so far.
Oh, so what's some of the other answers you got?
One of them was he wanted to watch. It wasn't necessarily a moment. It was more of like a game. He was like, I
Mm.
really want to go back and watch like just like one of Walter Payton's like signature, like 150-yard, like 2
Oh
touchdown type
yeah,
games. And then
yeah.
another one was the helmet catch,
The helmet catch.
the Patriots Giants Super Bowl, the Tyrese
Oh,
helmet catch.
gotcha. Yeah, 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 yeah. Oh
Yeah,
wow.
yeah. So
Oh
that's
yeah.
kind of some of the
Mm-hmm.
answers we've gotten.
Mm-hmm. Okay. No, those are good ones. Those are
Yeah,
good ones. But
I
yeah,
mean,
I'll stick to mine. Yeah. Any one of Jordan's six, probably his first championship.
his
I would like
first.
to see Jordan. Yeah, Jordan's first championship.
His more, I guess, his iconic one. I'm not like throwing shade at your pick here. Would be like the Jazz buzzer
Mm.
beater one, or like
Oh
second
yeah.
last. I mean, the Last Dance is pretty fresh in everybody's mind still from
Mm-hmm.
quarantine.
Yeah, that's the one where he drove right, he hit the little and
Mm-hmm.
then he put it up. Yep. That was I think that was the one that was he won 6 on that.
Mm-hmm.
That was his 6th one. But that
Yeah.
one was pretty legendary too. That one's up there.
My pop's huge MJ guy. He's got like his jersey. He's got like framed. He's
Hmm.
got like paintings of him and stuff. And he said his favorite was the one that he won after his dad died.
Yeah, that was an emotional one
Yeah,
for Jordan.
with him like
That was
rolling on the
very
floor crying.
yeah, man, that was terrible. That was
Yeah.
that was terrible.
All right, now I need your bold prediction. Who's winning the NCAA tournament?
Whew.
There's pretty much 3 teams that kind of separate themselves from everybody else. So,
Hmm.
I mean, you pretty much thinking about it, you have Gonzaga, Michigan, Baylor kind of on a class. Then you have like
Hmm.
Illinois, Ohio State, Alabama, and then there's a pretty big gap after that.
And the reason why I'm taking my time with this because if I like when people come to me and ask these questions and then it ends up happening the way I say because I love challenges like that.
Mm-hmm.
Uh
Make you feel all
I
warm and fuzzy.
yeah, yeah, like this guy really knows what he's talking about. I just like to
Mm-hmm.
build my credibility. But
There you go.
I think I'll go with Gonzaga just simply because and it's even hard to say that because with the corona stuff that's going on right now, there's so many more talented players in sports. Like basically these guys got a free year to develop and
Yeah.
come back into the game. Like that's crazy. But I'm gonna go with Gonzaga. I like the small guy. Well, Gonzaga is really not a small guy, so to speak, but they've always been the giant slayer. Now I don't even know if you can call them a giant slayer now because they
Well,
are
they've
the
never made
giant.
it to the Final Four.
That is true too.
Like, because
That
every
is
time
true
I
too.
think, I'm like, yeah, I think they're the best team in the country. Then I'm like, wait, they've never made it to a Final Four. I mean, I
Right.
guess you eventually got to make one.
I would say this is their year.
You think?
That's what I'm going with Gonzaga. Yeah.
Man, I tell you what, when Michigan put the beat down on Baylor a couple
Mm-hmm.
weeks back, I was like, man, I don't know, this Michigan team looks good. Like, obviously, they playing a little bit tougher conference, playing in the Big Ten, and then they
Mm-hmm.
lost to Illinois, and I was like,
Right. Yeah. Was it
Basketball
a
is just
fluke?
so random at points, like
Yeah.
especially the tournament. Once you hit March, things weird stuff happen. I mean, did you see the video? Just happened about an hour or so ago. Recording this on Sunday with Houston hitting the half court buzzer beater.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like what? They don't, bro. It's called March Madness for a reason.
yeah, definitely.
It's really called March Madness for a reason. But like I was saying, like earlier in the in the podcast, man, basketball is one of those things. Like like everything's going well, and then it just like that, things change, things go crazy. Like you'll have a 1 seed playing a 32. Florida Gulf Coast few years ago. Florida Gulf Coast story, the 32 playing like, or was it, I don't know what seed they were, but they took down like a top 2 seed in the tournament. It's
Hmm.
like,
I mean, it was
okay,
like
that
Virginia a
ruins
few
every,
years ago too, against
yeah.
who was it? Was it St. Mary's?
I
No,
think
no,
it might
no.
have been, no,
It
I
was
think,
something St.
it
Mary.
was, now, was it,
Oh, US BC or whatever. They're like the dogs. I'm about to look it up now.
weren't they like like a yellow team or like blue or yellow or
Yeah,
something like that?
yeah. Let's see.
Yeah, it was weird, like USMBC or something like that. I
Yes,
don't
I
know.
think you just nailed that. I think you nailed their pronunciation. UMBC.
UMBC, that's what
They
it
were a
was.
16 seed, and they, gosh, whooped up on them 74-54. And then Virginia came back and won it the next year. But
Hmm.
I guess they're still technically the defending champions.
Technically,
Technically,
yeah, yeah,
they were the 1 overall seed that year too, and they lost
that's
to
wild.
the 16 seed.
But yeah, that's crazy. But yeah, I'll stick with Gonzaga on that one, bro. That's my pick.
Definitely. Well, Nate, thank you for joining us. Thank you for giving us your time. I really appreciate it,
Mhm.
and I'd love to have you back on again soon.
Yeah, most definitely. Thanks for having me, man. Thank you.